I'm going to tell you some really interesting facts about confident people, why you want to be one, how anybody can become one, and spoiler alert, there is no such thing as being overly confident, and I'll explain why. There was a study that was published in the Journal of Neuroscience. The researchers examined active brains, and they were able to discover the region of the brain that responds to the opinions of confident people. The scientists examined active brains of 23 healthy respondents, and they found that a person's beliefs about something were based on three key elements: their personal experience, finding out what the majority of everybody else believed, but most importantly and by far, learning what confident people believed. It is over and over proven that confident people, they get better jobs, they get more pay, get more promotions, more likely to start their own businesses, and by far be more successful in those businesses. They are people of influence, obviously, as those studies indicated. They have better negotiating skills. They attract the people they want in their life. And one of the other things I thought was really interesting is they set boundaries. In other words, they're not afraid to say no. And that's a really difficult thing for people who are not confident to do, because you always feel like you're trying to make up for something. You're always giving everything you got to earn people's respect for you. But all of those combined, it's a no-brainer. You definitely want to become more confident and become a confident person. And guess what? Confidence is not a character thing. It is a skill thing. In other words, anybody can build the skill of confidence. Confidence, a feeling of self-assurance in one's appreciation of one's own abilities and qualities. What the hell does that mean? That's the definition of it if you look it up, Google it. But what it really is an action-based mindset, the willingness to try new things, building the skill of trying new things, building the skill of stepping out of your comfort zone, taking risk, pushing yourself beyond your natural limits that you're comfortable within. Let's go into the 5 ways how to build more confidence. Number 1, take action. How does anybody get good at anything if they don't try and practice and build that ability? It's just like anything that you do, sport-wise or anything else. Once you take that action, like anything you would try for the first time that you're new at, you're not going to be the best at it. You're still in the learning process, so you're learning, you're doing the repetition over and over to get that skill built into taking action. That's what you're training your brain to do. There's no way you can become a pro athlete, very successful business person, be in successful relationships with people for that matter, if you're not willing to take the risk and step out of your comfort zone. And number 2 is one of my favorites, identity shifting. If you don't know what identity shifting is, you're basically like a method actor where you take on a persona of what it is you're becoming. And I'll tell you a little cheat sheet for identity shifting, because you're like, how am I going to start just acting like something I'm not actually feeling like I am right now? If you find somebody that you look at and say, I'd like to be more like this person for this reason, maybe it's in this case, let's say confidence. Watch how that person postures themselves, not just literally their posture, but what they do, how they present themselves, how they dress, how they walk, how they talk, their eyes and the contact they have with people, all of these things that symbolize this confidence that that person has. That is your model to emulate. And you step into that person, the more you physically emulate some of those things, it actually creates that and embodies that. It's a lot like not reinventing the wheel. If you don't have to reinvent the wheel and start from scratch, look at other successful people around you, find out what they did to get there, and do exactly what those people did. And then number 3, do not ever tell yourself, I'm just that way, or I'm just not that person. Don't tell yourself that. Don't tell other people around you that. Because again, what you tell yourself, and you especially speak out loud, you start believing. Your brain starts adapting to that. And what you're saying to yourself is, I am not willing to step out of my comfort zone. And if you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone, you're going to be really struggling to become a confident person and gain any confidence, because you're staying in that comfort zone. You cannot stay in your comfort zone and become more confident. The skill of all this is to start becoming like addicted to doing things that make you feel uncomfortable, that create the chemistry in your body of the hormones that get induced when you do things you're not comfortable doing. For example, adrenaline junkies. This really should be a dopamine junkie, but they call it adrenaline junkie because there's adrenaline a factor as well. But when you're an adrenaline junkie, things that scare the shit out of you become something you actually become addicted to because of the chemical change in your body and the hormones that are released from that. And that initial holy shit factor, and then after it's done, what happens to your body and that release of all those things through your body, it is intoxicating. And what happens is even though you were scared, even though you can get hurt sometimes doing some of those things, your next thought is, how do I get back to doing that again? And you can create that in your mind for other things that are not physically dangerous per se, but things that do scare you and get you nervous and get all the juices that you want to get flowing that need to start flowing to have that feeling come out of you. Like speaking in public. If you're terrified of speaking in public, get up and go speak in public. I have dyslexia, so when I go to speak, sometimes the words don't come out the way I'm thinking it, in the same order, and all kinds of sorts of things can happen. So speaking in public was not something I was necessarily wanting just to jump out and go do, because there were so many times I would do speeches or presentations in college and school and even work that I would reverse words the wrong time, the wrong words, and it was hilarious to other people mainly. And I was like, what do they laugh? You know, I could see the responses, you know, what people were doing, and they thought I was messing with them. And I kind of went along with it because I was like, I don't know what I just said, but I'm going to go with it. And then later on, I find out, I was like, oh my God, how in the world am I going to ever feel comfortable speaking in front of people if I don't know what the hell I'm going to say? It was crazy. And I said, I got to figure out a way to figure this out. I got to do something that's going to change this. So I did this thing called Toastmasters. I'm sure they're still around, but you get up and you speak in front of each other, and everybody is very, very, thank goodness, they're very lenient, and they're kind of grading you and helping you and telling you, you know, here's what you could do better. You did great on this, but here's what you could do better. The first couple ones, I was like, you know, palm sweating and, oh my God, this is going to go like crazy. This is going to go terrible. But over time, it got to be something I was like, I got to go do this. I'm not feeling good. I got to go to Toastmasters, like an AA meeting or something. But you literally get addicted to that feeling, gets you all fired up and nervous. And that's what you want to get addicted to, is doing new things, stepping out of your comfort zone, not being in your comfort zone, because that's the dead zone. That's where you're going to die. If you're not moving forward, you're dying. That's exactly where you're going to be. Everybody can do this. Everybody can train your body to feel like this and do this. Whether you believe you are or not, don't say, I'm not that person, because you are that person. You just haven't gotten there yet. Try this and do this. It works. Number 4, reframe the word failure, I hate that word, to a lesson, an experiment, whichever one. Those two are both great. But failure, the fear of failure has stopped more people from accomplishing what it is they want to do in life, chasing their dreams, achieving goals, whatever the case is, because they just fear failure. And guess why? When we were in school, since grade school, we were given F. F was a failure. If you screwed up and you really didn't do well, you failed. You got an F. But if you did great, you got an A. What does A stand for? I don't know. I don't even know what it stands for. I know what failure, F stands for. It's failure. That made an imprint in my brain immediately. I was like, I don't want to fail. That's what's happened. We become scared of failure. And failure is a real deal, but it's a good thing. All very successful people, whether they're business, athletes, whoever, it doesn't matter, have failed way more times than they've been successful. And guess what? If you haven't failed on your way to success, well, that's a shame, because God forbid something does happen and it changes that whole success scene and you got to rebuild it. You're not going to know how to do it unless you get lucky again. And honest to God, getting successful without failure, you don't even appreciate it as much. I've been there too. I've been multiple avenues of success, and the best ones times 10 are the ones that I had to struggle. I had major fails along the way. So when I actually got the success out of it, wow, it was so much sweeter than the ones that came easier. And then if I needed to do it again, or I wanted to do it again, or whatever the case is, I could redo it again, because I knew the steps it took to get there. What not to do is just as important, if not more so, than what to do to get there. Experiments and lessons, and you just learn and take notes and go through those lessons and those experiments and get the science down, the formula for success. is what you're looking for, and the things you want to eliminate so that you don't have more experiments and lessons along the way that slow you down from getting where you want to go. And number 5, as you probably will imagine, is take risk. The mind shift and the feeling that you get when you take risk and do something that scares you, creates that nervousness, that adrenaline, the dopamines, all those things into your body. That's exactly the type of mindset you're trying to become addicted to. And you can become addicted to it, trust me. And it's such a good thing because you're constantly working on that different part of your brain, which is, by the way, that same part of your brain is the creative side of your brain, which is the gold mine of your brain. You start seeing things way differently than you could before. You're not capable of seeing things the way you need to see them when you're in your comfort zone. So you get out of your comfort zone, start working in this different part of your brain, and you're thinking out of the box. You can do things and figure out things strategically, analytically, every way possible that you could not see before because your brain is now working. You're using a bigger portion of your brain and the full capability of your brain when you do this, but it just creates this feeling inside you. It's like the journey, the adventure, the things that make us feel alive, the closest you can feel to being alive is being close to death. You really do, like I was talking about success, appreciating success that's been hard earned through failure. When you have accomplished life and maintained your living being, doing things that are very dangerous, and you're there and you're like, wow, I made it, I did it. It is an incredible feeling, and you feel alive like you've never felt alive. It really does change your perspective on life. You really see things differently than you're capable of seeing them unless you've been close to the edge enough to feel it. And once you felt it, you can't get enough. So go out there and become a confident person. You can do it. It's a skill. You just have to work on it just like anything else. Practice it and practice it. Repetition. It'll come to you, but do not stop. Go after it. Take that first action step. I'd love to hear about your quest to become a dopamine adrenaline junkie. I've been there my whole life. Got lots of stuff to share. Love to hear your story. If you got time to do it, let me know. All right. Peace.